Okay, brother's question concerning perfumes which contain alcohol. I mean, why this is an issue? Because of the fact that we know alcohol, as for Muslims, is prohibited. Alcohol is prohibited. However, it is prohibited primarily from drinking. This is the point. The production, consumption, distribution, sale of alcohol for the purpose of drinking, which is drinking alcohol, this is forbidden. However, we now use the term alcohol to include a number of other substances which belong to the same family, but they're not for drinking. They're called alcohols. This is a chemical title. So all of those which are not for drinking, this is not included. And the alcohol which may be found in some products which are used again for other than drinking purposes, again it won't be considered prohibited. As a Muslim to produce it, and it could be used for drinking, then of course we shouldn't. But if a product comes from outside and it does contain a percentage of alcohol, and this substance is being used not for drinking purposes, it is for wounds, cleaning wounds, it is for as the brother asked, for perfume. It's used in the production of perfume. Is this forbidden? No. No. It's not forbidden. So it is the alcohol which is used for drinking purposes, consumption. This is the alcohol which is forbidden. Medicines, where the medical profession, and of course this is based on Western medicine. This is where Muslims, are short today, because we follow the West. Before, in the past, we led the West. But now we follow the West. So their tradition, medicine, traditionally involved a lot of alcohol. So the old medicines, you go back 100, 200 years, it's alcohol with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You just get the person drunk, you won't feel it anymore. That's their tradition. Dissolve everything in alcohol. That's not ours. And many of the things, like mouthwash, for example. Mouthwash, for the longest while, only with alcohol. Now you can buy mouthwash which is alcohol-free. They produced it because enough Muslims were complaining. But still, they are producing. We should have produced it from the beginning. When the whole concept of mouthwash came on the market, we should have produced the Islamic alternative. This is where we are. We have been sidelined. Our scientists, our scholars, etc., from the Muslim world, they are working for Western world. They serve their purposes. This is the unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in today. So, wherever there is an alternative, if this medicine is not a necessary medicine, if it's necessary, absolutely, you have to take it. Okay, you take it. That's all. That's your choice. It's life and death now. or major harm, you take it. But the Muslim Ummah carries the sin of not having developed the alternative. It is the duty of Muslim doctors, pharmacists, scientists to produce an alternative to every one of these things. There's no need, no reason why we have to use alcohol. Alcohol is like the tree in the garden. When Allah created Adam, you had all of those trees except for one tree. Alcohol is that one tree for us today. There are a whole bunch of alternatives that we could create, but we're not. We're just going to the tree. So we're in sin. The Ummah is in sin for not developing the alternative. Okay, brother's question, which is and was the topic of the khutbah, or part of the topic of the khutbah. Allah says in the Quran, Inna as-salah tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salah, prayers, formal prayers, prevent evil speech and evil deeds. So what about the person who is in the front line of the prayers every day, but he speaks evil and he's doing evil? What about his salah? That's what we spoke about in the khutbah. You don't want me to say it all over again, do you? The point is that salah that he is making is one focused on the ritual. He sees the salah as a ritual. He doesn't see the goals of the salah. That's the point. He's ignorant. It's ignorance. And we ask Allah to guide such an individual. The brother's question, if a person comes in the masjid, and we all know, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَسَاجِدِ فَلَا يَجْلِسْ حَتَّى يُصَلِّ رَكْعَتَيْنِ. Any of you who enters the masjid should not sit down until he or she has done 2 units of prayer. This is a command. Close to wajib. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you enter the masjid, do not sit down until you have prayed 2 rak'at. Traditionally, people call it tahiyatul masjid, greeting the masjid. Can you greet the masjid? I mean, it's the common name, tahiyatul masjid. People use it now. But can you actually greet a masjid? No, we greet people who can greet you back. You know, there's a backwards and forwards thing. You know, so it's really saying, like, this is the right of the masjid, so you do this for the masjid. No, you're not doing it for the masjid. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us we should do it. And know for sure that the reason why we do it is because when you think of it as just tahiyatul masjid, you're honoring the mosque, or this is your duty to the mosque. So you say, okay, I did my duty to the mosque. I went outside, I had to make wudu, I had to go to the bathroom, whatever. Come back in. I already did my duty to the mosque. What do I need to do it again? Right? This is the shubha which goes into our minds. This is the doubt which comes to us. We did it. But if we understand those rak'at as they were intended, those 2 rak'at that we make before sitting down, what is the purpose of those 2 rak'at? Think. Tell me, somebody. What is the purpose? It is not greeting the mosque, because the mosque can't greet us back. So what is it? Showing obedience. Okay, there's obedience in it, but is that what it's just about? Just obedience? spiritual preparation. This is what it's about, spiritual preparation. You're coming in from the outside world. The outside world which has you in the dunya, it's all in your head, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your emotions, everything. You come into the masjid, you just sit down, it's still there in your head, your mind, salah, iqamah, you get up in the salah, and then it's all in your head. This is the point. You know? Your prayer is just still, you're still outside. Worries and, distress and everything is still there in your head. So what is the idea? When you come into the masjid, cut it. Make 2 rak'at to put yourself spiritually in the context of the masjid. To prepare yourself for worshiping Allah as He deserves to be worshipped. This is what it is about. So this is what. So naturally, if you go back out, you go into the toilet, you go and make wudu, do you need to do it again? Yes. Yes. Because in the way going out, you probably met somebody, so-and-so, your mind is going all kinds of ways now. You've left the masjid. You're in another frame. So yeah, when you're coming back in, put yourself back in the correct frame of mind. Do it again. You see, and the thing is, if we understood that, this question would never be asked. You understand? If we understood the goals of salah, the purpose, this question, nobody would think to ask it. But because we have lost the purpose, we've not understood the goals, then it becomes an issue. I did it one time. Do I need to do it again? Right? Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khair. Huh? Over this side. No, give somebody over this side, chance. Okay, question from the sisters? How should we explain people, or to people, that there is no difference between women and men praying salah, because they refer to different mazhabs, especially in India and Pakistan, that there is a difference between men and women praying salah? How do we explain to people? Well, you can try. You can try. But people who are set in their ways, this has been their tradition, the family, your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, everybody follows this way, where the woman's prayer is a special prayer. It's different from the prayer of the man. And maybe somebody will even tell you, Allah said in the Quran, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنثَى. The man is not like the woman. So naturally, you should have a different prayer for the woman than from the man. However, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." Pray as you saw me pray. Pray, all of you, men, women, children, everybody, pray as you saw me pray. So, is there a special prayer for women? No. That's it. If you can't grasp that, this is the clear statement of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And even Darda, Abu Darda, famous companion, his wife, there is narration, authentic narration, that she prayed exactly like the men prayed. So you even have a text saying that, describing a Sahabiya praying exactly as the men prayed, no difference. We have nothing, no narration which says that women were to pray differently. But a culture that had a particular attitude towards women, they introduced into the madhab another way. Abu Hanifa never taught this. No, that Abu Hanifa never taught a separate prayer for women. This did not come from Abu Hanifa, nor did it come from Abu Yusuf, his main student, and Muhammad al-Shaybani, secondary student, or Zufar, third major student. None of them taught a separate prayer for women. Later generations that added and padded and patched and changed what we now know as the Hanafi madhab teach it. So, subcontinent, Turkey, they have prayer book for men, prayer book for women. And that prayer which they have prescribed for women, some aspects of it, like the raising of the hands, in that prayer book they say the women should only raise their hands to the level of the shoulders. The men raise their hands to ears. That's what they say. Now, in this case, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is recorded as doing both. He raised his hands, sometimes to the level of his shoulders, sometimes to the level of his ears, and he never said, this one's for women, this one's for men. He never said that. No one else has the authority to say part of his sunnah is for women and part of his sunnah is for men. No one has that authority. No matter how great a scholar he may be, if he said that, he was wrong. He was in error. Because only Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has the authority to specify from his sunnah what is only to be done by women. Of course, they have put a rationale. What is the rationale? The chest of the man is not like the chest of the woman. Sounds kind of logical, isn't it? The chest of the man, okay, you throw your hands up like this. Everybody sees your chest. No problem. But the woman, her chest is not like the man's chest. So they say, no, you raise your hand just like this, cover the chest. Like this, you're going to be exposing your chest. Right? So it sounds kind of logical. But Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, if the religion were based on logic purely, then we should wipe the bottom of our socks and not the top. But, he went on to say, I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wipe the top and not the bottom. Okay? So we don't take logic and start playing with the Prophet's sunnah and say, well, it's logical. It makes more sense this way and that way, and we're coming up with something else. You don't have that authority. You don't have that authority. So, that aspect, if a woman did this, it's not wrong. If a man did this, it's not wrong. And if he did this, it's okay too. However, for him to think that he can only do this is wrong. For her to think that she can only do this is wrong. But the salah is valid. Salah is valid. There are other acts. They tell the woman, when she goes into ruku', when the man goes into ruku', he makes complete bending, right? He bends. They say for the woman, no, because, when she bends, for the man's behind to be sticking out, no problem. But for the woman, no. So they say, No, she shouldn't bend like that. She just reaches down and touches her knees like this. So ruku' is now changed. A special ruku' for women and a ruku' for men. Where did that come from? Rasulullah ﷺ never said that. He said you got to bend properly. They describe the bending such that if you put water on his back, it wouldn't go this way or that way. It should be 45 degrees. 90 degrees, sorry, 90 degrees. Should be a 90-degree angle. That's how it's supposed to be. Men and women, no difference. So in this way, they are taking away from their salah. They're losing reward from salah because they have not made a proper ruku'. When they go down for sujood, they are told to put their elbows on the ground. Prophet ﷺ said, don't put your elbows on the ground like the lying of the dog. He made a simile between those who put their elbows on the ground with a dog. Don't do it. But that's what they tell her to do. So we say that takes reward from your prayer. That's detracting. It's taking away reward from your prayer. They tell her to put her chest on her thighs when she goes into ruku'. She doesn't go over like the man. You know, the man when he does sujood, sorry, not ruku', when he does sujood, he goes over and he should leave a gap here. Such, they said that a small sheep could actually pass under if you're big enough, right? Sheep could pass under. For the woman, they say, no, don't leave that space. No, close it up so that your chest goes on your thigh. We say, where did this come from? It didn't come from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, there is a narration that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed by and a woman is praying, her elbows are out and so on. So he said, cover up a bit. Cover up a bit. But don't take that now to mean another salah. Cover up a bit within what was from the sunnah, not breaking the sunnah, contradicting what he has already told. So this is where the problem comes, where those actions that are prescribed for her are in fact in clear violation of prohibitions of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, machine slaughtered animals. You have 1,000 lambs to slaughter. If you have to go to each one, Bismillah, 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 that's going to take you forever. So now we have abattoirs where the animals are all herded in and they go in, their necks are stretched, everything. A machine is sitting there with a blade. You press a button, you say Bismillah, boom, 500 necks are cut. Is that acceptable? This is the question. Is that halal? Yes. Why not? This is just technology. The key is you cut the neck. This is just technology. The requirement is not that your hand has to be on that blade and on that, hold that animal down with your foot and, it's not a requirement. Prophet ﷺ didn't say you must put your, no. You cut the neck. That's what you do, as long as you do it. So, if we can accept a Christian cutting the neck and a Jew cutting the neck, what about a machine cutting the neck? As long as we're saying Bismillah, we're the one in control, press that button. So, inshallah, it's okay. What about the animal what?
Stunned. Shock.
Stunned. Stunned is different from electrocuted. Because we said electrocuted, two different things. If you electrocute the animal, you killed it. So then cutting the neck is useless. You're cutting the neck of a dead animal. It's not halal. But if you stun it, this is not our way, this is their way. Okay? They stun the animals. In the West, they feel it's more humane to stun the animal first before cutting the neck. That's their methodology. Is that permissible? Can you eat it? Yes, you can. The animal is still alive. As long as the animal is still alive, you cut the neck, it is halal. It's not our way. It's not preferable. It's like taking a club and bonk on the head of the animal and then you cut his neck. He falls unconscious. You haven't killed him. You just knocked him unconscious. Now you're cutting his neck. Okay? We don't do it that way. Because when you talk about halal and haram, it's just what is acceptable. The way we use the term dhabiha. The dhabiha, we say this is halal. Anything which isn't dhabiha, meaning done exactly the way we do it, we don't accept it. No. That's not what the Sharia says. The Sharia does not say that anything which is not done in exactly the same way we do it is not acceptable. It doesn't say that. So, that's their way. As long as the animal is not dead when the neck is cut, it's permissible. Hey, look at it this way. It is acceptable in Islam for you to send your hunting dog out. Right? Your hunting dog. He runs and he catches a rabbit, he chases the rabbit, and he brings him back to you. Not dead. You cut his neck, you can eat it. Hey, if you can do that, don't tell me about they stun the animal. Why are you going to make a big thing about that? It's not a big thing. We don't do it. It's not a big thing. We have to put all these things in context. We don't make our rituals now etched in stone. It has to be exactly this way. If Rasulullah ﷺ said exactly this way, then yeah. But if he didn't say that, then we have flexibility. The deen does have flexibility. The idea is to know where is the flexibility and where, when you're doing it, you're ending up in bid'ah. Be able to distinguish between the two. Okay, brothers, question concerning implementation of Sharia in Muslim lands. We're talking about Muslim lands. As for the idiots who in Western countries are calling for Sharia, we have to ask Allah to guide them. Because they've just made a mess over there. So much so that we have states in the US, 20-something states of the US have made a ruling that Sharia is banned. If you ask these lawmakers, what is Sharia? He said it's shooting people and killing and... A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. Because of these idiots who are holding up, this Hizb Tahrir and these kind of people who like to make this thing in the West. Sharia, Sharia. Khilafah, Khilafah. We're going to establish Khilafah here in the middle of France. Come on, please. Idiots. These are idiots. This is not Islam. This is only antagonizing those people who already have issues about Islam. That's all you're doing, antagonizing them. In Muslim lands, the application of Sharia, yeah. Hold up the placard there. Yeah. After Jumu'ah, you want to hold up a placard? Let everybody know this is your khutbah. After the khutbah, we should be applying Sharia. Yes. As Muslims, the average Muslim, what can we do? My advice is apply the Sharia in your home. That's what I would say. Apply the Sharia in your home. This is your area of authority. You apply the Sharia as much as it is legally possible in your home, where everything is in accordance with the Sharia, then you can start to look outside your home. But to be out in the street calling Sharia, Sharia, and you haven't even taken care of your own home, you say this is foolish. This is foolish. And this is from shaitan, actually. Though the idea of Sharia in the country is a good idea, Shaitan will put it in the heads of people. Get out, demonstrate, go, Sharia, Sharia. But the people are not practicing it. So when the Sharia actually comes, then they're fighting against the Sharia. This is what happens. Because they don't know what the Sharia really is. So when the true Sharia is brought, they become enemies of the Sharia. This is not what we call for. Yes, it is. That's the Sharia. No. Not the Sharia. It's your Sharia. That's the problem. We need to educate the masses, know what the Sharia is, apply it in our own homes. Then we can look outside of our homes. Is it acceptable in Islam to go to the graves of the great Imams, scholars? They praise them. They're praying to them.
They're not directly praying them, but they praise them very highly.
No, but you have to be clear. You have to be clear on what you...
The price of them. They used to visit the graveyard of great Imams and scholars. They praise them very highly. I'm not saying they're praying.
They're not praying to them.
They believe supplications are accepted more.
Reciting Qurans and making du'as.
You stand a better chance to be your supplication to be accepted.
Okay, if they were praying to them, and what I understand is that they do pray to them. When they go to Ajmer, they're not going there to praise, they're going to pray to Muhyiddin, Chisti, whatever, they're praying to him. Oh Muhyiddin, do this, call on Allah for us, whatever. That is shirk. That is shirk. Now, if a person feels that, okay, if I go in the vicinity of that grave, my prayers are more likely heard. It's wrong. Is it shirk? No. Not shirk. I mean, it's bordering. It's borderline. But I wouldn't say it is shirk. Right? Maybe others would. But as I see it, it's borderline. Not something to do. If you told me I plan to do, I'd say don't do. Better you don't. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not encourage us to do that. He did tell us to visit the graves, to remember the hereafter for our own benefit, to remember the hereafter, to make dua for the people in the graves, for them, because they are in need of our dua. So if we stay within those bounds, then that tells us what is acceptable and what is not. Our brother's question concerning the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah where Allah describes the acceptability or the halalness of the food of the people of the books. His question is that the slaughter or is it vegetarian food? It's slaughter. Slaughter of the people of the book, meaning Christians and Jews. If they have slaughtered an animal,
They just chop the neck, right?
they chop the head off. If they chop the head off, is that permissible? If a Muslim, while cutting an animal, cuts the head off completely, is that dhabiha acceptable? Who said? Who said no? Who said no? Who said? I mean, where did you get that from?
Not preferable, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Not preferable. But if you cut the head off completely, that does not invalidate the slaughter. See, what happened is that we get tied up with certain rationales which developed to explain about our mode of slaughter, where we said that, okay, we cut the neck of the animal to let the blood out, right? We don't cut the veins, right? The jugular vein, right? And we don't cut the actual head. Because if you cut the spine, then that stops the heart right away. So the blood doesn't get pumped out. Right? And this is the rationale that we got. So we understood from that the pumping out of the blood was essential for the animal to be halal. When you go hunting, you're hunting with your bow and arrow. You shoot the deer. Your arrow goes right into the heart of the deer. You say, Bismillah, arrow goes in. Now, the deer drops. Dead. Can you eat that deer? Yes. What happened to the blood? What happened to all the blood? So it is not an issue of the blood. It is not an issue of the blood. You can you cut the animal, etc. Blood will come out in the process, you know. Maybe it's true, some more blood will remain, but it's not. That's not the issue of halal and haram. That is not the primary issue of halal and haram. So that's why, if the animal is slaughtered, you said Bismillah, whether you cut the head off completely or you just cut the jugular vein, you know, we cut the jugular vein and the windpipe. Actually, for the Jews, they have a special knife which is curved. It goes in, they cut this jugular, goes behind the windpipe and cuts the other jugular without cutting the windpipe. For them, you don't cut the windpipe. So they're even more particular. And for them, if that doesn't happen, not kosher. Period. So the issue is not one. That's why the slaughter of the Christians, they cut the head, they cut the neck and the head off completely. While the animal is alive, it's halal for us.
So that's why it says that food of the people of
The food of the people of the book. Whether they go to the extreme care of the Jews or they go to the little care of the Christians, either one is halal for us because of the status of the books that came. Because you might find a Hindu, well, Hindus are not supposed to be slaughtering animals, right? But you might find a Hindu who will work in a butcher shop or whatever, abattoir, who will carefully cut, just the way we cut. But we can't eat it. It's haram, even though he cut it just like how we cut it. Haram. So there's something else. These people of the book, Christians and Jews, are given a special status because of the presence in their books, in spite of the distortions and the changes and everything else, the presence of revelation exists in their books till today. Whereas you go into the books of the Hindus, yeah, you go stretching, digging deep, you know, like Dr. Zakir did, you know, into the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita, and okay, Allah, here's a verse. But all the other verses are saying, worship the idols. Here's one verse which says, don't worship anyone but the one God. Okay? MashaAllah. I mean, it's good. It's good to wake them up, guide them, but the book is confusion. Their books are confusion, total confusion. It's clear. You know, it's the exception. You have to dig, search to find Tawheed in there. But it's there. It remains. Pregnant women fasting is permissible. If they find that the fasting weakens them to the point that they fear harm to their child, etc., they're allowed not to fast. Feeding a poor in its place or not. Different opinions on that. Breastfeeding mothers, same thing. They can fast or not fast. You know, making up the fast afterwards or not, there's difference regarding that. you could say the more safe position is you make a back to fast. Question, is it permissible for a Sunni to marry a Shiite? And if not, or how is the way to bring them, a Shiite, closer to Sunni Islam? Well, this varies from person to person. The way is just to show them what Islam is, to clarify for them whatever they're doing. I mean, the main issue that they have in terms of Aqidah is the attributes that they have given to their Imams and the worship of their Imams, that they call on them in prayer. Now, if you are a Sufi who was already worshiping the saints, then you marrying a Shiite is marrying one of a kind, the same kind. Okay? You're no different from the Shiite in that sense, right? But if you're a Sunni, meaning that you are following the Quran and the Sunnah, worshipping only Allah alone, then no, you should not marry a Shiite. Nor should you marry a Sufi who is calling on other than Allah. Yeah. Okay, our brother's question concerning defense of Islam. As he said, looking back at the time of the Sahaba, they defended Islam, they fought jihad. Why is it wrong today? Why is it considered to be terroristic or whatever? Why are we going to label it this way when they did it? Isn't that the way aren't we supposed to follow them? They're not the example. Well, I would say, these are general terms. These are general terms. If you take an instant out of history and then try to apply it across the board, you're going to run into problems. Because that instant of history exists within a context. What was the context of that situation? That's how. So when you're going to apply a principle that they applied back then, we have to say, is our society like their society back then? If it's not, then to try to apply it is error. It's error. We need to look at the existing circumstance. What is our state here? Is it like Medina or is it like Mecca? Globally, what is our situation? Is it like Medina or Mecca? Huh? Baina wa baina. In between. Medina. What is it more like? Medina or Mecca?
Medina.
Huh? Medina? Those who say Mecca, put your hand up. I think you're outnumbered. Those who say Medina, put your hand up. Huh? Yeah, okay, it's still Mecca. They say Medina. Those who say Medina, I think you're in a very small minority. I think it's obvious. We are in the Meccan period. So, what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do in the Meccan period? He focused on the da'wah to establish a solid foundation that when the time became ripe with Medina, that foundation changed the world. That was the way. So for us to sit here in Mecca and talk about doing Medina, it's emotionally, let's get out like the Sahaba. But hey, we're not ready. We are not ready. And to go running out there, you now end up with your collateral damage. Because as you go out there, you're killing Muslims left and right and saying, oh, it's accidental. We didn't mean it, but, we're still killing them left and right. It's the problem. It's the problem. The life of the Muslim is sacred. More sacred than the Kaaba, the blood of the Muslim. But we are ready to come, kill him. He works in that state. That government is a kafir government. So he is a teacher in the kafir government, being paid by the kafir government. He's a kafir. Kill him. And the kids who are studying in the school under that kafir, kill them. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. That's where you end up. We need to understand Islam and follow the methodology of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, that was the last question. That was it, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
Mine is not a question.